aku manukura, e aku whatukura, e aku heitiki, nau mai, haere mai. Kia ora and warm greetings to you all. I'm Tyler Mata from Mana College in Porirua. We are inside the New Zealand Rugby HQ to welcome you to the announcement of the 2020 All Black squad.
Hi everyone, my name is Jacob Duncan from the Mana College's First 15. And as someone who loves the rugby, I'm excited to see who is going to be named.
We know it's been an unsettling year for everyone in Aotearoa, in fact around the whole wide world with this COVID pandemic.
But one thing we can all look forward to is watching the All Blacks play.
So sit back and enjoy the squad naming. We're heading in now to watch the show.
Yes, it's a big morning. Morena, good morning to you. Welcome into New Zealand Rugby headquarters in Wellington for the naming of the All Black squad for 2020. Justin Marshall, Jeff Wilson, Carl Tanana, socially distanced but fully engaged to this announcement today. You've all been their team, you've been on the other side, 15s and KT with the 7s. Doesn't matter how good a player you are, it can be a tense week, can't it? Even you've made the cut, KT.
Oh, I think the thing is too, it's exciting times, you know, but you never really know until your name's read out, and I suppose that's the exciting thing, but you're always on edge.
Yeah, you are. Like, people can tell you that you've been playing well, but you never know what the selectors are thinking, so it's always very exciting, very nervous, as you mentioned.
Always chat though, you're right, absolutely, whether it's the media, whether it's your family, because you're going out and performing, you think you're playing well, but in the end, you're waiting for your name to be read out, and then the journey starts though, right? Yeah. You get that opportunity to get inside the All Black camp, you've got to earn the right to play in a test match.
And you want to impress the selectors, and what an opportunity last night at the North and South match. Stellar performances, and the skills were just sublime.
Well, I think a lot of players actually confirmed, one, probably why they're getting selected today, but also showed exactly what Super Rugby Aotearoa Marshy did for, I think, the quality of the players. The standards have been set, and last night we saw it in fantastic conditions at Westpac Sky Stadium.
Yeah, absolutely. And what was really enjoyable was the attitude that the players approached this game in. You know, they really got stuck into each other, the players that did. And Super Rugby Aotearoa Shine again excelled in this match, and the skill level and the quality, like the selectors, if they wanted anything out of the night, it was exactly what they got in terms of skill set, KT. They must have been impressed by individuals and both the team efforts.
Well, the thing for me, lads, is like all these guys know each other so well, so there's little X-factor things that put like the passes in behind and around the back and those sort of skills. The skill level that you spoke about was the thing that really set individuals apart like this.
And how about that finish for the South,
Here it is.
Performing under pressure, though, that's what All Black selectors want to see. You're put in an environment where you have to thrive. They went out and thrived. You talk to the coaches, you talk to the players. They all enjoyed the experience. They want to go through it again. But a lot of them, in some ways, were just showing those selectors, yep, I want my name written down and read out tomorrow morning. You
couldn't have scripted any better for a finish for North and South, but do you think it was a late night for Ian Foster and the crew last night? Do you think he had the pen, paper and the twink bottle out, or do you think he was pretty comfortable?
Every night's a late night, Marshy, for them. Every night, regardless whether they're picking a team or not, because they're trying to prepare a side, whatever it may be, this year to play test matches.
And I think probably the really rewarding thing for Fozzie and his crew was the fact that there were other players that they might not have been considered that really stepped up. You know, look at the way Sanders played in that game that maybe might not have been in consideration. So all of a sudden he's going, you know what? We have got more depth than we ever could have dreamed of. So I bet they sat down with a cold beer and were really happy with what they saw last night. All
right, so we pick any bolters. What are your expectations from the squad that we're about to hear?
I think there'll be new blood regardless. The fact they've got to look at themselves at the moment and go, you know what, we've got to look forward. We're going to see some change. There'll be a great wealth of experience, Marshy, like there always is.
Yeah, I certainly agree. I think some of those players that shined in Aotearoa Rugby, they just showed their true qualities last night in that North-South game. I think it's an opportunity for this coaching group to refresh, start again. Like you say, we're going to have that experienced group, but introduce some young blood.
All right, it is time to hear our All Black squad for 2020. Let's now hand you over to NZR President Bill Osborne.
Kia ora tātou, everyone. Welcome to New Zealand Rugby House for the announcement of the 2020 New Zealand Rugby squad. The team is Asafo Amua, Hurricanes and Wellington; Bowden Barrett, Blues and Taranaki; Geordie Barrett, Hurricanes and Taranaki; George Bridge, Crusaders and Canterbury; Sam Cane, Chiefs, Bay of Plenty and captain; Caleb Clarke, Blues and Auckland; Dane Coles, Hurricanes and Wellington; Braden Enor, Crusaders and Canterbury; Shannon Frizzell, Highlanders and Tasman; Jack Goodhue, Crusaders and Northland; Cullen Grace, Crusaders and Canterbury. Alex Hodgman, Blues and Auckland. Akira Ioane, Blues and Auckland. Rico Ioane, Blues and Auckland. Will Jordan, Crusaders and Tasman. Nepo Laulala, Chiefs and Manukau. Anton Leonard Brown, Chiefs and Waikato. Terrell Lomax, Highlanders and Tasman. Damien McKenzie, Chiefs and Waikato. Joe Moody, Crusaders and Canterbury. Richie Moonga, Crusaders and Canterbury. Dalton Papali, Blues and Auckland. TJ Perenara, Hurricanes and Wellington. Sevu Rees, Crusaders and Tasman. Adi Savia, Hurricanes and Wellington. Aaron Smith, Highlanders and Manawatu. Hoskins Sotutu, Blues and Auckland. Quinton Strange, Crusaders and Tasman. Cody Taylor, Crusaders and Canterbury. Carl Tuanukuafi, Blues and North Harbour. Patrick Tuipulotu, Blues and Auckland. Ofa Tuangawhasi, Blues and Auckland. Tupou Vaa'i, Chiefs and Taranaki. Brad Weber, Chiefs and Hawke's Bay. Samuel Whitelock, Crusaders and Canterbury. Congratulations to all those selected for the All Blacks, especially the new caps. And to the fans, we look forward to your support and seeing you back very soon.
So you've heard the team naming live here on Sky. We'll get some insight from the selectors and hear their vision and mindset for the squad shortly. But let's take a look in black and white. A squad of 35, 7 new caps, as you've just heard, for 2020. Let's look at the forwards. Asafa Omoa, he comes back in, teaming up with Taylor and Coles. Alex Hodgman, a new cap in the props. Carl Tuanukuafi comes back into the squad. Well, the locking stocks, they needed some attention, didn't they? 2 new caps, Tupou Vaa'i and Quinton Strange. Scott Barrett are missing. That's opened up some spots, hasn't it, there? All right, loose forwards. We see new caps, Cullen Grace and Hoskins Sotutu, and opportunities again for Shannon Frizzell and Akira Ioane. To the backs, well, the halfbacks as expected, Smith, Webber and Perenara. First fives, Richie Moonga and Beauden Barrett. You might hazard a guess that Damien McKenzie might be a third choice 10 in there. In the midfield, Rico Ioane, he's rewarded after a great season at centre. Of course, Nani Laumapi out injured still. Outside backs, Caleb Clarke and Will Jordan, they are the new caps. And a series of riches at fullback. Jordan, Geordie Barrett, Damien McKenzie and possibly even Beauden Barrett. Well, a hearty congratulations to the 35 named, a moment a day that they will never forget. Let's hear from the man who is tasked with not only selecting them but leading them, Ian Foster. He's with Jeff Wilson.
Thanks very much, Bernie. Well, Fozzie, you've had to wait a long time, longer than anticipated, to select this first squad. What were some of the insights and considerations in the selection of this first team?
Yeah, look, it's been a tough year, hasn't it? But, you know, I think we're sitting here as a bunch of selectors. We're massively excited with the calibre of the team that we've been able to put out here. And, you know, working with Foxy and Plum, watching Super Rugby Aotearoa, we're hugely delighted with what actually happened. And the result is we've been able to come up with a squad, I think, that's kind of got a combination of being rich in experience. We've got some battle-hardened people from last year after a World Cup where we didn't get what we want, but we've also got an injection of youth. So I think there's an exciting balance for whatever goes forward. You know, just want to pay special attention to the new boys. This is a big day to hear your name, to hear your name out loud, and you know, to Alex, to Quinton, to Tupou, to Cullen, to Hoskins, to Will and Caleb. I think I got them all. Yeah. You know, it's for them and their families. What a day, you know, and you know what it's like, but it's a special time for them. So congratulations to them. Also to Sam Kane, you know, first time as All Black captain, and this is the start of his little era. So it's pretty special for him too. So special time. And just finally, we made a lot of phone calls this morning, you know, to a lot of disappointed players, and you know, I think what we saw last night is that we've got a wide range of talent at the moment, and there's a number of players that will be disappointed their names weren't read out. And whilst we feel for them, I think it bodes well for a Mitre 10. It's going to be pretty exciting.
How robust was this discussion? It's always robust, but as you went through Super Rugby Aotearoa and you started to see the performances of players, and of course a number of injuries happen, how confident are you that Super Rugby Aotearoa has prepared the players for that next level?
Yeah, I think Super Rugby's always done a really good job for the All Blacks, and this year, you know, a unique set of circumstances, and it's really chucked up a whole lot of players. I think we've seen a lot of established players, Goldie, who've played really well under pressure in a different circumstance, and again we've seen some young players come through and really put their hand up. And you know, I think we spoke earlier, you know, that the tightness of the competition and you know, the score lines at the end really meant we got to see players under pressure, and we saw that again last night. So that's given us a lot of confidence to bring in a number of new players.
A lot of that performance comes out of pressure. You've lost a lot of leadership. Do you see the players in this group? Who are those players you'll expect to step up and support Sam?
Well, I think there'll be 34 players we expect to step up and support Sam, and you know, and that'll be his style. But you know, we've got a really, you know, we've lost about 5 from our leadership group from last year, but we've got a small group there, and we'll start small, and we'll get depth and quality in how they lead, and then we'll expand it. But you know, when you see some of the leadership that came through in the franchise, you look at the likes of, you know, Scott Barrett, Nani Lamapi, and those sort of players who aren't here or haven't been named in this because of their injury. So we've got plenty of other people to come back into that space too. So it's a good group. And again, I don't want to underestimate the power of bringing some new players in, because that injects a massive enthusiasm, and it shows that this group's got a job to do over the next few years.
Are you saying for those new caps, those 7 new caps, that you're going to get an opportunity to play early, or how many of them are there pure and simply for you to get more time with them and to develop?
Oh, I think this year, you know, whatever the schedule throws at us, it's going to probably require us to use the squad, and there's no point putting guys in there just for the sake of it. So there's no one in there that we've said, well, they're just in there to sort of wear a tracksuit and get better. It's there's guys there I guess we've got to trust, but our job is to make sure they're ready.
One thing you've talked about in previous years is versatility. You look at that group, has that still been one of the mantras, one of the things you guys have lived by, the fact that guys that can play in multiple positions?
Yeah, look, it's getting the combination, isn't it? I mean, first and foremost, we want specialists we want players who are outstanding at their core job. But we've been blessed in this country with a number of players that have got a range of skill sets, and particularly when you look through the backs, and you know, you look through there and you look through, you know, there'll be much debate about Bodie 10, 15. There'll be, you know, Rico wing centre. There's a whole lot of versatility in that space, and we love that because it gives us options. It means that we can, you know, have a bench that's potentially got a little bit more power and strength than what we'd have if we just had guys purely good at one position.
Sense of relief now you've taken this step? The team's finally out there.
Yeah, it feels good.
It feels
you know,
good.
Look, it does feel good. It's a heck of a process, selection, you know, because we obviously take it massively seriously, and you're going through, we know we're playing with people's careers, and so we actually put a lot of time into it, but ultimately our job is to put the team first, to pick the team that we think is going to help add to the legacy of this jersey that means so much to us, and we're delighted.
Fozzie, we can't wait to see your team in action. Thanks very much for giving us your time this morning. But you weren't the only selector, of course, in action. Had a couple of others, and, of course, a new coach for the All Blacks in 2020, John Plumtree. He's standing by with Justin Marshall.
Yeah, cheers, Jeff. Well, Plums, first of all, as Jeff mentioned, your first opportunity to get involved with an All Black selection. How was that process for you?
Oh, yeah, initially it was pretty tough because Foxy and Foz just run me around a little bit, go to the cafe, get a coffee, you know, they made me do my time, you know. But no, I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the whole thing. I mean, it's totally different to the role that I'm used to, but, you know, it's a lot of work, a lot of responsibility. But yeah, no, I've settled down and enjoyed it.
Well, it's Sunday morning, so why not get stuck in? Engine room.
Engine room, yeah.
Why not? You've selected some new players up front, Alex Hodgman, Tupou Vaa'i, and also Quinton Strange. They've come into the mix. What do you think about that front 5 and the team you've selected there?
I think Alex Hodgman's been a really a consistent performer for the Blues this year. You know, he's grown from strength to strength. His set piece work's improving, and Greg Feek's certainly looking forward to getting his hands on him. And just around the field, very mobile, works hard. Tupou's impressed me. He's come on nicely under the Chiefs regime. You know, big, physical. Excellent mobility around the park, you know, great athlete, natural in the air, and excellent learner as well. Really quiet guy, but you know, he listens and takes it all in, and is very comfortable at this level. Hoskins Sotutu been outstanding with the Blues this year, consistent performer, and you know, just marvellous skill set. We saw last night just what he could do. Quinton Strange, yeah, okay, he's had a few injuries to date, but like the profile of the guy, you know, he's big, he's aggressive, he's come through, you know, he's worked with excellent coaches, and I've kept in touch with the, you know, the Crusaders coach down there with them. So he's coming on nicely, and we just hope he can get fit and play a part.
You tapped on to the Lucies, Hoskins Sotutu, a new cap. Cullen Grace as well has come into the mix. And, you know, Papa Le'i's also there. You've got quite a lot of depth in that position, but also probably needing to find a new number 8 after the exodus of Kieran Reid. Yeah,
I think Hoskins can play number 8 pretty comfortably. Martian, obviously, Artie's more than comfortable at 8 or 7. Look, the skill sets of those guys, you can just see how quick they are. You know, their threat from scrum, you know, with the way they can get that fast ball and get us across the advantage line, explosive on the edge of the park. But also, if you look at Artie and Hoskins in particular, they're comfortable up the middle of the park as well. They're combative. You know, they're very physical in the tackle and attack the ball. So their skill sets are marvellous. You know, Callum Grace is pressed at the start of Super. Obviously picked up an injury, coming back now, but you know, can cover lock 6, 8. Really happy with his early progression, really, because he was a surprise to us. But yeah, really liking what he can bring to the group.
There's always this talk about the way that we like to see, particularly our blindside flankers play in New Zealand, big and strong ball carriers. But also now the game's developed, a lot of them are offloaded and can actually sort of use the ball in different skill sets. So the return of the likes of Shannon Frizzell as well. So is that something you consider also for Artie to play on that side of the scrum?
Probably see Artie more in 8 and 7. But you know, you mentioned Akira Oni's there as well. We've got Shannon. You know, Hoskins, and you know, Cullen Grace. These boys are all big, they're all physical, and these are the type of guys that we're going to need when we come against the bigger teams in the in world rugby. You know, with England, South Africa, we need guys that can create momentum just through brutality, and not just through you know, having to have space for us to get momentum. So they can make space for us by taking a man on, and we need that, and that's been identified. And also too, the way they can move bodies that break down, really aggressive in that area, and we want that type of ball for our backs. So the forwards are going to be, they're big and they're fast, and they're going to be aggressive.
I bet you can't wait to get stuck in, fine-tuning them. Good luck with that, and congratulations on the side that you've named. It's time for us to go over to Carlton Ana. He's with All Black selector Grant Fox.
Thanks, Marshy. Foxy, I suppose a real continuity from the team that was at a lot of players from last year's Rugby World Cup. I mean, how excited are you with this 2020 edition?
Well, I think we saw during Super Rugby Aotearoa and the match last night, just the talent we have at our disposal. It's pretty special, isn't it? And it's not easy sifting that down to 35, and while that's still a large group, you know, as Foz mentioned, there's some unlucky players, as there always is when you pick an All Black team. But you know, there's 21 back from the World Cup. Some are unavailable over and above that because of injury. You know, there's 7 returning All Blacks who are pretty excited too, haven't had much time. Damien's one of those 7 who's had the most time, but there's some other guys who sort of were used in 2018 who are back again, and 7 new boys. So we're excited about, you know, the mix of experience and youth. And there's still some young guys who've got a few miles on the clock as well, so that bodes well for the future.
I want to take it back to Super Rugby Aotearoa. I mean, some of the young guys, as you spoke about, really put their names on the map, but some of the older guys got pushed by some of those young guys and it took their game to another level too. That must have been pleasing.
Yeah, they want their spot, don't they? So they don't want to get tipped out. So when they're seeing that, we better get sorted. But we were pleased right across the board. I mean, there was a lot of uncertainty, and a lot of people did a lot of hard work to get this competition going, and then the players honoured that. So but it was brutal. We saw the attrition rate during it, but we saw some great rugby. And that just culminated again last night. What a spectacle last night. Heck of a game of rugby, and again, just showcase the talent we've got at our disposal.
I want to ask you about last night's North-South game. I mean, there was a lot of talk about whether it should be played, whether it shouldn't have played. You guys definitely wanted to play. Did it just confirm to you what you guys were going through, your thoughts in terms of selections?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of history to this game. It hasn't been played a lot in recent years, but the aftermatch last night with the teams, there was some history around the room that showed that. The guys who've played the most, Colin Meads played the most for the North, and Ian Kirkpatrick played the most for the South. So all that history and legacy was important. You saw it in the attitude of the players, even the coaches. I mean, amongst our group, they wanted to win, bragging rights amongst that mob. But the players last night, and look, for anyone who didn't think this game meant much, you only had to be on the edge of the South dressing room last night after the game, and they were pumped. It meant a lot to them.
Yeah. Now, you've won a World Cup at first five. I want to ask you about the first fives, and you had to pick them. Obviously, Richie and Bodie sort of picked themselves. So have you picked Damien McKenzie as your third?
He will cover, right? Yeah. So we see Damien as a 15 who can go into 10. He's been used there before, successfully, we believe. But Bodie and Richie are going to play a lot of rugby, aren't they? So if we carried a third specialist 10, then the likelihood is that person mightn't play much footy. So that's not particularly fair. That next guy needs to be playing a lot of rugby. So Damien is the guy who's the third 10 covering option.
I want to ask you about the All Black coaching group. There seems like a different mix between these guys, and they just love being together. Just tell me about them.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with, this has been a challenging year with everything changing, and I think Foz has done an outstanding job leading this group, adapting and adjusting as we've had to go through, because there's uncertainty and we're still not exactly certain about what's ahead of us. Hopefully we'll get, quite a bit of test rugby, but I've been impressed with this group. Good thinkers, good people, and just the guys who coach, with the feedback from the teams from the North-South game, because the guys were coaching those respective teams, was really positive about the contribution they made. So, I'm excited about what this group's capable of delivering.
Well, hopefully get on the field soon and you can take a breath there, Foxy. Yeah. Thanks for talking to us this morning. Back to you, Ben.
Thanks, KT. You can feel the energy, can't you, as the 2020 squad has been announced for the All Blacks. 35 in the squad, some new names, some familiar ones as well. I'd love to get your thoughts. Jeffy, we're after some fresh blood. You've certainly got that.
Bring it on. Look, I think we could all probably write down 25, 28 names, Marshy. The guys that you knew, incumbents who deserved their opportunity once again in the All Black jersey. You're always waiting who Foxy and the selection team and Ian Foster and John Plumtree, who they see are the next guys that can carry on that legacy in the All Black jersey. Now I've seen that. Now I want to see it play, and that's the next thing. And look, I'm really excited about the group. I think those guys that they have brought in, they've stood up, but the fact of the matter is they've still got so much growth in them. Yeah, they have. What I like is really also the positive attitude of the selectors and the coaches, because when you're a new coach and the pressure's on, which it is, you can always be conservative and go back to what you know. And to do that, it doesn't mean taking bold risks and selecting players that have shone for one season. And like in Aotearoa rugby, it's like, no, prove yourself over a couple of years. They've gone out there and they've selected players like Cullen Grace that are pretty much brand new. So good on them for taking that plunge, and it's great because it creates competition for those players that are more established.
What a great headache, though. You talk about Cullen Grace, a rookie, basically, who's now, commanding a start for the Crusaders, and just all talk.
I like the fact they're talking a little bit too about specialists. Yeah. First and foremost, yes, versatility is great to have. You need that on the bench, but giving guys an opportunity to master a position, to stay in that position, the fact that we're hearing, and Foxy's talked about, the 10s actually starting, they'll almost rotate in and out, which gives them the opportunity to shine, and then you can change what you're doing at fullback. That's the sense I get, but to me, it gives them great depth. Yeah, I don't envy them, though, in that position, because that's going to be some of the most difficult and heavily debated talk that's going to be generated around their team namings, which is the first five position. We've got two world-class players in Richie Mo'unga and Beauden Barrett that are basically vying for the same spot. If you throw the fullback into the mix, you've got a conundrum there with the likes of Geordie Barrett, Damien McKenzie, Will Jordan. So really, you've only got two spots to fit all that talent. So they're going to have to make some pretty tough decisions for big test matches. We saw it last night, though, Marshy. The game can go 84, 85 minutes. The bench is so critical in this game. and the options and the depth you need. And so, yes, you might not be able to start everyone, but to know you can bring that type of quality on, and we've known that that's the role that Beauden Barrett has played. That's the role that I'm sure Richie Mwanga can play, and so does Damien McKenzie.
So hang on, so what you're saying is there's a possibility that there could be a first test naming and Beauden Barrett's on the bench.
Possibly, I don't know
What
that.
a
As
great
Foxy says,
headache
though,
to
my
have,
team
though.
doesn't.
That's a great headache to have, yeah, there's no doubt
Foxy always
about
tell me my team doesn't get to play, but what it does give them is some great options. And imagine trainings. We saw it last night. And the trainings will be just as competitive as we saw at Sky Stadium.
But the query here, Jeff, we talk about 10s and we talk about Damien McKenzie, where he fits in. Utilities, how important will utilities be?
Yeah, absolutely. And you need to be able to put guys into different positions. You need to be able to deal with the pressure. But one of the things I like is that they're talking about the type of athletes you're looking for and skill sets. They've continued to develop skill sets, Marshy, right across the board. And what we saw last night, multiple playmakers and Damien McKenzie doing what he's very good at.
Absolutely, and it was really interesting to hear Ian Foster say that he still wants specialist players that play a position regularly, and I think that's been the coming of some players, particularly McKenzie. He's really found his feet because he's spent all that time at fullback this season. Geordie Barrett, who'd been messed around a lot, spent all his time at fullback, so players get more established, and I quite like the fact that, yes, you've got to be versatile, but you've also got to get consistency in a position, and a lot of those players he's seen do that through Aotearoa Rugby created more headaches than answers, but I think that's a good thing because we've got talent.
All right, let's talk about one of the new players, Caleb Clarke, 21-year-old. He had an absolute stellar season for the Blues. Everything he touched turned to gold, a powerful winger.
Look, he's a power winger, and it's something, if you look at what we've got in terms of our selections, that's what we've always had on the left, and that's what we've needed. Rieko Ioane's filled that role for the All Blacks, Julian Savia, and all of a sudden what we saw was the emergence of a young man playing with confidence, a skill set. He's a big man, Marshy. He is a big, solid player, just like Dad was at Ronnie, and I tell you what,
we both used to avoid
and you can't avoid it, but I think there's some real subtleties to his game. Those little things we saw there, you've got to love about that.
Yeah, and I really like the opportunity for him to be in an All Black environment because he'll be around players that will help him grow as a player. Not only coaches, but players that he hasn't been around before that'll just help that talent mature. Great. He just thoroughly deserves a selection. What a real talent.
He's made a great transition too, Justin. A 7-star coming into the 15s environment, and it's almost been seamless. Now, you mentioned his dad, Ronnie Clarke. What a legend. And we caught up with both father and son this year.
We named Caleb that name because we look at characters in the Bible. The character that Caleb was, even at a young age, he was still a warrior.
Clarke thundering into the 22 and scores!
He didn't matter who it was that was in front of him. He would fight and was always brave. As seeing him grow up, it's the same attitude, the same sort of character. That desire to win was always with him.
Show the ball, Clarke! Caleb Clarke scores!
When we look at our children, you can see the natural competitors, and then you can see the others that are like more like me. It was a learned thing for me.
And Ronnie Clarke! That's a Ronnie Clarke special. Zinzanbrook and the Auckland Blues win the initial Super 12.
I felt like my childhood was pretty awesome. The funniest thing back in primary was there was an All Black book that I found in our primary school library, and I opened it and I was like, this is my dad! Oh my gosh! Because I didn't even click.
Spurs the gap ball to the middle, pops it up, Clarke gets the try, made by the little scored by Clarke.
Caleb coming home with a book saying that, Dad, did you play for are you an All Black? They didn't realise because we never made it a big thing for them. Other kids made it a big deal.
Clarke. Away goes Ronnie Clarke, and that's the match winner for the New Zealand team.
It took me a while to get over that, having a father as an All Black, and looking back on it now, I felt like I didn't really need to put so much pressure on myself because my dad had no pressure on me.
Quicksilver. Away goes Ronnie Clarke.
He gives it quickly away, quick hands! Caleb Clarke is in, and the drought is broken. Auckland win the premiership in 2018.
I think for me, going into the Auckland environment, when you're about to go down the stairs to see the gym, and there's different sort of plaques on the wall. There'll be like one for most points, one for most caps, one for most tries. I would walk down and I'd see my dad's name on every single one. Even at the Blues, you walk past one of the walls and it's Player of the Year, and I think it's 97 or 98. And I look at that with pride. I think that's sort of where I get my competitiveness too, is I'm going to get that too. I want to be on this board. I want to be there with them.
As a youngster, he's always, come on, Dad, come on, let's have a race, let's have a race. So in those different ages, I was always able to beat Caleb, but then one day he got to about 10, and Caleb, come on, Dad, come on, let's have a race, let's have a race. I went, okay, I'll just do it again. And hello, as we took off, I just didn't realise just how much he'd grown and physically, and just his speed, he just left me. And just as he was really starting to get a bit of a distance on me, I went, oh, my hamstring, Caleb, come back, Caleb.
Now here's Clarke again. Oh, and through again he goes. He's got Sotutu with him. And Rico Ioane's going to score. Well, brilliant play from Caleb Clarke, and the Blues are in again.
I really enjoy our relationship. It's much more than just a father and son, because it's also, you know, a coach and a player.
Yes, we're very, very proud with Caleb and all of our children that out of their giftings that they reach their full potential. Just through sitting down and open conversation to say that, son, my expectation of you, of emulating what Dad's done, there's absolutely no expectation at all. And my expectation as a father is that, wow, when you're out there, do your best.
Yeah, great piece, and a great young man he is too, Caleb Clarke. Great to have you. Congratulations, my mate. What's it like for you just watching you and your father there and him talking about you?
Yeah, it's pretty cool, eh? Like getting to share these special moments with him. It was pretty memorable moment getting to ring him this morning and tell him the awesome news. So yeah, it was a pretty cool Father's Day gift.
So, just talk me through the whole process, because there's a bit of a story to this, right?
Yeah. So we just got the call in the morning. I got to say I had a pretty rough sleep last night. I was so nervous I couldn't fall asleep. I felt sorry for my roomie Aaron Smith because he could hear me tossing and turning. But yeah, just after getting that call, had a little cry just of joy and had a little prayer, and then went and rang my parents and got to tell them. I tried to delay saying that I actually cracked the squad because I knew he wanted to hear the news, and so yeah, it was just a pretty special moment getting to ring him, and I think my little brothers are in the room as well. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
You talk about special. Your Super Rugby Aotearoa form was obviously through the roof, man. I mean, what was the difference between, for you this year, for you to be able to set it alight?
I think for me, a lot would be due to the sevens. You know, I give a lot of credit back to, you know, Clarke and all the management and all the boys, just because I felt like they really brought the best out of me in the time that I had there, and so a lot of what I learned, I transferred it to the 15-man game, and I think the only difference I had to do was put a bit more weight on. So yeah, I think sevens was a big help to me. So yeah. And just being with some of these guys you've grown up watching, how cool is it to be out the back there, saw you with a few of the lads, but being amongst the group and mixing with them? Yeah, exactly. We had our little after-match function after the game last night. I mentioned, you know, just getting to play alongside someone such as Damien McKenzie. It was a real highlight of my week when I actually got to call him D-Mac for the first time. And so, you know, it's just been awesome getting to rub shoulders. You know, even having a roomie as Aaron Smith, that's just something I can't say every day, and something I'll, you know, be grateful for the rest of my life. And yeah. Well, one thing I am going to say, because your dad's my mate, you're a lot quicker than him, a lot better looking as well, my mate. So congratulations, Uso. Well done. Brother. Thanks. And let's head back to the panel where we have a very special All Black captain in waiting.
Yes, indeed, KT. You can see it's such a thrill for Caleb Clarke. Congratulations. One name that wasn't a surprise when it was read out today was Sam Cane, the All Black captain. He was named to lead the squad back in May. Good to have you with us, Sam. And nice to have your crew set finally. Yeah, it is. It's
it's awesome to see all the new caps get named and the buzz that's on their face, but equally for the boys who have been around a while too. It's nice to get the call and be able to assemble. Just having everyone in the same room this morning, there's that cool energy about it. You were probably the only one who didn't sleep well last night, knowing you were already in the team. Yeah, he slept well. I tell you exactly why he slept well, because I saw him doing the training that he was doing and preparing to play yesterday at the stadium, and it was awesome. You're recovering from injury. You're at the ground. You ran water only just because you were doing your 150s, doing the extra work. Body looks like it's holding up all right. This is obviously deep into the session, right? Yeah, no, Gilly Gilly had me doing a session before the game yesterday, and look, I needed it after a few weeks sort of recovering from that head knock. So
you good to
blew
go?
the lungs out. Yeah.
You good to go?
Look at this footage.
He's not only hooting on the paddock, he's hooting here watching it.
Hey, talking about last night, you were a spectator like the rest of us. What did you make of the game?
Oh, amazing, eh? Awesome.
Yeah.
So I was in the North camp from Thursday, and I just thought the high skill level, and for teams to come together with sort of 5 days preparation and put that together, it was wicked. And you know, from a spectator's point of view, what a finish. It's probably surprised me after only a few days in camp with the North. North born and bred, obviously, how gutted I was for that loss.
Tell me about it.
But yeah, be cool if I think everyone really enjoyed the week, and hopefully it's something we got going forward.
What's your advice for the young boys coming in, Sam? It's obviously a big moment. They've been in the Super Rugby Aotearoa environment, but it's the next step up. What's your advice for them?
Oh, well, normally we'd be announced like this and we'd sort of be into camp, so I suppose the advice is to go back and play really well for your provincial teams. I know the provincial teams will be excited to have the All Blacks back, and so just go back and play and prepare like an All Black, and enjoy those 2 weeks, because like, we know that everything's a little bit up in the air at the moment, but what we do know is we've got a couple of weeks back playing for our provinces.
Plenty, isn't it? What a Taranaki coming up this weekend?
Coming up. Any chance we might see you next weekend?
Yep, all going well.
Ready to go? Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic, mate. Welcome back.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Sam. All the best for Mitre 10. Well, one name that was read out today was Tupou Vaa'i. He dreamed of being a chief. That dream has just got a whole lot bigger. He's with KT.
Thanks very much, Tupou. Congratulations, been an All Black announcement today. I mean, were you expecting it at all, my mate?
Cheers, KT. No, I wasn't expecting it. I was expecting an early fly home, but yeah, it was pretty slow.
Good flight to miss, my mate.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
Now, I know you were part of the Chiefs. Results-wise, it was a tough year, but just tell me, what was like mixing with the experience such as the All Black captain, Sammy Kane?
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a good experience to rub shoulders with Sam and all those other players. It was just great to, get out there and see what Super Rugby's like. Yeah.
Now, you got an opportunity last night with a North-South game. Just talk me about how the week went for you, because I suppose you had a certain view that it might be a bit serious, but it was actually quite relaxing.
Yeah, I came in on Monday and thought that everything was a bit going to be serious, but, it was pretty relaxed and pretty cruisy, so, yeah.
So for a young man, you're Wesley College's latest All Black. I mean, what's it feel like for you coming from there and being able to come to the top level?
To be honest, I'm speechless at the moment. To be able to, again, rub shoulders with Nepo and Carl is pretty amazing, yeah.
And have those guys spoken to you about and taken them under their wing to a degree?
Yeah, it's pretty good to hear some stories from Carl, like what happened back in his school days, but yeah, it's pretty great.
Oh, my mate, I know you're really, really proud. I know it's an awesome time for you and your family. Congratulations. Burn the young man. Great to see this young blood on the side.
It sure is, KT, and signed on to the Chiefs until 2023. They will be thrilled to have him on board. He is a big physical presence, isn't he? And like Quentin Strange, who has been named today also in the squad, that is going to be an imposing lineup.
Yeah, well, it certainly is. And as Plum alluded to, Quentin Strange, he's had his injury concerns so far this year. But what we've got here is two really talented players. Their stats there are very impressive. And when you look at the fact that there's no longer any Brodie Retallick there, you've got Sam Whitelock who's come back into the mix. But, the resurgence of Patrick Tuipulotu as well. I think it's great that we can have this evolution now, Jeff, of this modern day player that is a big, strong ball carrier. It's not just about line out and scrum anymore, is it? It's about having a real balance to your game.
Front row is the same. The fact that you need mobility, you need to have a skill set, you need to be able to create, carry, offload, do all the things you need to do. These guys out in the open paddock are outstanding. We shouldn't forget as well, Scott Barrett not around because of injuries, so these guys are going to get their opportunity. They're going to be a part of it. So it just means that they're going to have to show exactly what they're made of very, very quickly. But you've got to love the way they have stood up, because they've recognised an opportunity and they've taken it.
And that's the one thing that the message was put out by Ian Foster early on. If you're a lock and you want to be selected, play well this season.
Yeah, and play tough. They still need to play tough. And it was quite interesting to see the dynamic last night in that North-South game of there's still that physical approach where the South in the first half went through the middle, and then in the second half the North sort of grabbed the bull by the horns and went through the middle. So you've got to have that balance, yes, of playing well, and you've got to have that ability to be a ball player as a lock nowadays, but you've also got to get tough as well. And All Black Rugby, believe it or not, for all our razzle-dazzle, we have a very good solid core. Good scrum, good line out, good in the air off kickoffs, and that's a very important part of the basic skills of the game that these locks must have.
And complemented by our loose forwards and the selections
Great
of our loose
forwards.
forwards and guys have stood up. But I look at the specialists, and the question I have now a little bit is, where is Akira Ioane a specialist? Is he a specialist 6? Because ability and what he's shown, and he, to me. He's the comeback player of the year for me. Given where he ended in 2019, this year he's got an opportunity. It was at the blind side, and the Blues coaches have done a fantastic job, Marshy, of reinventing him as a player, and he's turned to the professional we probably thought he was going to be.
Yeah, and I'll probably go one step further and say not only the coaches but also the fitness coach, because he's just getting more involvements. And, you know, we always knew his power, knew his potential, but it was always sometimes he went a little bit missing. And you see him present in the game now. He's playing 80 minutes. He played 80 minutes last night, you know, and I think that has helped him get more dynamic in the game. His fitness levels has come up. He wants to work harder. He is working harder. And like you say, he's been the big finder this year. He's made a real resurgence.
And Shannon Frizzell.
He's an 80-minute player. You're talking about 80-minute players. He has been a standout.
Absolutely. I think you talk about the Highlanders' form through Super Rugby Aotearoa. They needed someone to step up and be that physical presence and carry. Look, they got it both from him and Marino Makaele-Tu'u, but this guy, I think this was his breakout season. He's been just on the fringe of the All Blacks, getting a few opportunities, Marshy, but then all of a sudden, on a weekly basis, in the toughest competition, he was outstanding.
Yeah, he was. And I think that's what I was trying to ask Plum about, you know, what we see as a genuine out-and-out 6 now. It used to be tough, uncompromising, yeah, and not too much of a ball player. However, last night he was shifting the ball, as Akira does as well. They can offload out the back door, they can do the lot. That's the new modern 6.
All right, well, uncompromising is Hoskins Sotutu. He's had his call up today and he wants to make that number 8 jersey his own. He's with KT.
Thanks, Ben. Brutal is the word that's been passed around this morning. This is a guy who's really led that from the front of Super Rugby Aotearoa. Congratulations, Hoskins, on making the All Blacks. I remember interviewing you early on when the Super Rugby started, and you're very inward and shy, but by the end you were outward and it was coming out in your play. Do you feel that's how your season sort of progressed?
Yeah, I think so. I just, you know, as the season got on, I got a bit more confident, and yeah, I think that showed on the field as well, I guess.
I suppose with that Blues team, you started mixing together, and do you think that helped you with that loose forward trio, just for you to concentrate on your job at number 8?
Yeah, definitely. Like all the boys just got stuck into their own job, and just helped I don't know, with the results, and obviously, and yeah, all the boys are playing some good footy.
Now, it's always hard when there's a lot of outside noise on a particular player, and you got a lot of reps all the way through that competition. Do you think the rise would be this rapid for you?
Nah, at the beginning of the season, I was just focusing on trying to play for the Blues and start for the Blues, and yeah, well, after that, just try to play good, and well, I'm here now.
And what's it like mixing with some of these elder statesmen in the North-South game, and now in the All Blacks? What's it been like being around them and learning from them?
Nah, it's been good. Like, getting to know some new faces and rub some shoulders against like new players, and you know, just getting used to that. And yeah, it's pretty easy to talk to them and stuff. So it's all good.
I never get tired of asking this question. What was it like telling Dad and Mum and the fams?
Nah, yeah, I let Dad know a bit earlier than the rest of them, but yeah, Dad was pretty funny. I just told him, and then I think he was a bit quiet, and then he was just like, "Oh, well."
Was he a bit staunch, was he, or Dad?
Yeah, he doesn't like letting me know, but yeah, no, he just said, "Oh, that's awesome," and yeah, I said, "Happy Father's Day."
Happy Father's Day. He'll be getting some of that kid. He'll be first one in line, won't he?
Oh, yeah. No.
No joke. I'll leave it to it. I love you, Dad. Congratulations, Hoskins. Ben, let's get some VT on this young man, because he was wicked this year.
He certainly was. We keep saying uncompromising, imposing. Hoskins Sotutu was just in sublime form.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's very good is, again, we talk about your role and the key way that you want to balance out the way that you play in that loose forward trio, and explosive off the back of the scrum. Know that, yes, that offload ability there, the breaking of the tackle is the key thing for me. The fact that when you carry the ball, you win that advantage line every time, because it sets the rest of the game plan up.
You knew what you knew, though, about Hoskins before last night, but he confirmed it, and that was what was key for me. The fact was so good in Super Rugby, then picked up an injury, and then he missed a couple of games, and you'd wonder whether or not he could get started again. Outstanding. And Patrick, one of your guys from the Blues, a number of players, Alex Hodgman gets his opportunity at the next level. How proud are you as the captain of the Blues after the momentum you've got to finally see some guys get some recognition?
Very proud. I think with the season we've had, it's pretty awesome to see that a lot of guys have been rewarded for the hard work they've put in, and I think the success we've had is due to a lot of those guys putting in a lot of hard work. So to see them here now, it's pretty pleasing.
Let's have a chat about like your season. You know, you've really found your feet. Your rugby couldn't have been better. You've been rewarded for that. What do you think's been the catalyst for that? Yeah, and also the responsibility of being a captain. You captained North last night, and the Blues outstandingly this year.
It's hard to put it down to one thing. I think I've just grown up and more wiser. I think the role of being captain has probably spurred me on to stand up more to a lot of things, and I've certainly enjoyed it. I certainly like the challenge of being skip and trying to lead a great bunch of men, and I think a lot of guys around me are in the right position to help me, and I think I've thrived off that.
We've just heard from Hoskins Sotutu, Clarke, Hodgman. You know, you've got lots of new caps in the Blues. It shows that the team is functioning well together.
Yeah, we gel quite well. It's hard in Auckland to sort of get together on a daily basis, but when we do come to training, we enjoy the time together, and I think you can see that on the field. We certainly enjoy working hard for each other, and when our backs against the wall, I think that's when we're best, so it's been awesome to see.
Paddy, when you get into this All Black environment, are you looking at it differently this year, given how much you have improved and how much you want to be a leader in this group?
I suppose so. From my point of view, I just have to keep my nose down and keep working. Nothing changes for me. Whenever I get a chance to put on a jersey, any jersey that may be, then I have to keep my process the same and get ready for a game of rugby.
But it's been a breakout year for you, Paddy. It's been almost a reinvention. I read you said no excuses this year. What was behind that mantra for you?
Oh, I've had a lot of up and down years, and I think growing older, I sort of realise now I should be that guy that doesn't make up excuses for anything. So it's just a hard edge. I think it worked for me, and I'm certainly looking forward to going into the future with that.
Oh, well, it's going to be a busy year for you. You've got a bub on the way, so well done. Congratulations and all the very best. All right, another new cap named. No major surprise. We talk about bolters. I don't know if this name was a bolter. Will Jordan, he has just been in sublime form. He's with KT.
Well, looks like you're still freaking out about the news, mate. How was it?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a whirlwind morning, to be honest. Yeah, probably didn't really sink in until I heard my name read out on the TV before. Yeah, it's been an awesome morning to get in amongst the group for the first time, and yeah, as I said, yeah, a real surreal moment for me.
Well, talking about it just when we come on air about, you know, don't really know, you can't really believe it until you hear your name, do you? I mean, walking around the hotel, you must have been walking in a bit of a buzz.
Yeah, definitely. It's been hard to wipe the smile off my face this morning, and like you said, there's so many good players in New Zealand, and especially in the outside back, it's been pretty competitive across the year. So yeah, I was always hoping for the best to be able to make the team, but yeah, it was always nice to sort of get the confirmation this morning.
You talk about whirlwind morning. You had a whirlwind sort of year, you know. I mean, right from the get-go, you set a high level. I mean, what did you do? Was anything you changed this year to take you to that level?
I think just playing a little bit more on instinct, and maybe being a little bit less worried about what other people thought or what the game plan was and that sort of thing, and just playing what was in front. And lucky to be at the Crusaders in such a great environment that allows you to be yourself, and great teammates around me as well, which allowed me to sort of do my job.
You had some up and down moments too. I mean, you started with playing well, you went to the bench, but then you were able to come back. I mean, mentally there must have been a process to work through for you.
Yeah, I think we've got a really competitive unit at the outside backs of the Crusaders, and it was a little bit tough heading to the bench for a game or two in the middle of the season, but I think that's part of the game, and rugby's a full 23 squad these days, so yeah, it was all part of the journey, I guess.
Talk about competitive. You and Caleb were marking each other last night. Was a bit of chat going on between you, eh?
Yeah, it was a bit of a ding-dong battle between me and Caleb. Yeah, even played a bit of footy with him with under-20s and stuff. It was a bit of chat flying around, and he's had a great season as well, so great to see him in the squad as well.
I didn't want to ask this question, but Jeff and Marshy made me. Did you make that call for that kick pass to win it last night?
Yeah, we did have a bit of a chat. We sort of had a few advantages before that. I sort of talked to Geordie and Josh Ioane and said that if we did get another advantage, the cross kick might have been on. So, yeah, lucky we have to go out there and stuck in the hands. So, yeah.
Congratulations on that win. Congratulations on being named on the All Blacks. Well, totally deserved burn. The man was on fire. Back to you guys.
Sure was, in fact, an exciting prospect. The backs for the All Blacks this year. We are spoiled for choice.
Yeah, Katie's right. My hammer's always up on the outside channel, regardless. I mean, even with no penalty advantage. No penalty advantage at all. Just keep kicking it out. Look, you need players who understand how to get their way to the try line. And that's something the All Blacks and New Zealand Rugby have always had to find. But there's plays like that, Marshy, which have set Will Jordan apart. His awareness, putting himself in a position to be a part of the play, and he stays alive and makes good decisions. Those are all the things. And you talk about versatility from time to time. I think he can play fullback and wing equally well.
Totally agree. And I like the words that he used, playing on instinct, not worrying about what other people think. That's the key to a player playing with freedom. And you can see that when he's playing with freedom, he expresses himself. And I think a guy like that who can open up a game from nowhere needs to be in that mindset. And hopefully he's encouraged to play that way with the All Blacks.
KT opened up. He's just gone from one side of the room to the other. He's sprinted over here. He's probably pulled a hammy. You're tired now.
It's the vision of Will Jordan, isn't it? It's almost the maturity beyond his years to actually have a crack.
Oh, it is, yeah, no doubt about it. Like when you have a player like that just wants to go out there and express himself, he's got to be given the licence to do so, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I think the thing is, like, you talk about old head on young shoulders. That's definitely Will Jordan. He gets put in these tough situations and continues to come through.
I tell you what, though, that back four. I'm going to say back four, so from centre out.
So you're changing the game. You're changing the game.
So our midfielders.
If you think of Ioane and you also think of Jack Goodhue out there, Enor, you've got
Leonard-Brown. We shouldn't forget him out in sublime form last year. Geordie Barrett. I mean, the selection's not going to be easy. But once again, they've talked about these sorts of things. You know, I talked to Mills Muliaina. He thinks that Geordie Barrett actually is a genuine 12 option going forward. So
I agree.
And his distribution skills from Geordie Barrett. Look, he's a guy I think transformed the Hurricanes in some ways, KT, this season. The way that he played, what he offered, they needed leadership, and he brought that. And it's just, you got match winners, you got impact, whether it's starting or off the bench.
And I think the thing is too, he brings a bit of edge about him too. And when you have a guy that plays tough and goes hard, even like last night, he was getting amongst it all the time. You have to follow him, and that's that leadership role you spoke about.
And let's not forget that the All Blacks have shown in the past that they're quite prepared to use him on the wing as well. The thing that they need not to do at the moment with him is start switching him into different positions. He's really found his feet at fullback this year, which is good, and it got him in sublime form. So how much they tweak with him when they get him in that All Black environment, I think is really important.
Already done one with one Barrett, haven't we, with 10 and 15? Let's not do it to the other Barrett.
He was still world class in both positions,
though. He was, undoubtedly, absolutely. Well, look, we're not entirely sure what the international calendar is going to look like for the All Blacks as yet, but we do know what our domestic season looks like with Mitre 10. Super Rugby Aotearoa, if that's any indication what Mitre 10 might look like, it's going to be exciting. Buckle up. Friday, the 11th of September, is when it all kicks off. Harbour host Canterbury. 3 matches for you on Saturday. You may even see Kieran Reid trot out in the Steelers jersey at Pukekohe. Sunday, 3 more matches, Whangarei, Inglewood and in Invercargill. Wharapama Cup, North Harbour and Bay of Plenty, they'll be cracking curtain raiser in the Mitre 10 against North Harbour on Friday. Saturday, the defending champs Canterbury take on Manawatu in Palmy. And Sunday, take your pick. Great times too if you can get along and watch. If not, you can catch all the action live and exclusive here on Sky. So Team 35, we're liking what we see. If you could pick one standout, what would it be?
Oh, look, for me, I think when you talk about guys taking their opportunity, it's Hoskins Sotutu. The fact I wanted to see whether or not he could have his impact on the next level, and this was the next level last night. And he did that, and it's exciting to see a number 8 that can operate in the outside channels and do what he did.
Yeah, for me, Will Jordan. Like, this is a guy that set Aotearoa rugby on fire. Mitre 10 Cup last year, outstanding, but probably could have been seen to be a bit green. But they were quite happy to throw him into the mix, and I'm really pleased that they've got that ambition to do that.
On the opposite side, I go with Caleb Clarke. I think he just adds another dimension. He's got that power dimension that maybe on the outsides we haven't had in a couple of seasons. So for me, it's him, a good Mount Albert grammar boy as well. So got to mention that.
Bernie, I can say this: there's going to be eyes on all those 35 now at Mitre 10 Cup time for at least the next 2 or 3 weeks. There are superstars that are going to be out there. This is going to be one hell of a competition.
And Justin, hoping for some internationals. Fingers and toes all crossed on that front.
Yeah, let's hope so. We might hear something by the end of the week, apparently. So let's
Yeah.
hope we get international rugby sooner rather than later. Got to put
would-
a stake in the ground.
Come on.
Come
Bring it
on.
on.
All right, we have our All Black squad for 2020. 35 in the squad, 7 new caps. Good luck to the team. Keep safe, everyone. Thanks for your company. Live here in Wellington at New Zealand Rugby headquarters. E noho rā. Goodbye.